a good leader is someone who can really inspire people with the vision, and that vision can help them to do really a good cause. When you start a new chapter in your professional life as a leader, as a manager, where usually you have an increase of your ego, so you have this feeling of, you are the king of the world. Each situation, with the good situations and the bad situations, you really have your leadership growing. And the other one, as a leader, I think you need to manage your emotions. Because again, part of this ego that sometimes you feel, okay, now I'm very professional. I'm top in terms of emotional intelligence. I can manage them. But sometimes you hide them under the surface, especially if low performance is associated with bad behavior. This is even a killer, because low performer can improve over time with the right support system, with the right mindset. But if bad behavior and if it's repetitive, this is something maybe as a leader you need to take an assertive stand.
Yeah. Five years ago, we were at a training and we were a bit, let's say, not so sure how this training is going to go. Our background was back then in the IT industry. We were coming from software engineering, and this training was in a healthcare company. And we were a bit confused, how it will be taken, how these people were going to take this topic about Agile, about things that we usually connect with the IT industry. And we were really surprised because these people were so open-minded. When we told them about Agile, how it can really increase the time, the speed of delivery, save time, they were super interested, because they said, actually last year, for some reason, from time to time, we had to, for example, skip some vacation because we're treating people, and what we do really affects people's health. So now, if we take this advantage, in this case about Agile, we can be even more efficient. We can save more people, more or less. So now we're super, let's say, excited to have the key leader of this organization with us. And this is, Bogi?
This is Hesham Sabry, the General Manager of Roche Bulgaria. And you are with the podcast Management Nightmares. We are the hosts, myself, Bogi, and this is Nicola. And this is a podcast that shows real life examples, real stories from real successful people who has a lot of stuff, a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, a lot of stories to share about success, about maybe nightmares, about maybe lessons learned. So we are really, really excited and honored to have Sabry, Mr. Sabry here to be our guest. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Bogi and Nicola. It's a great pleasure and honor to be with you here today. And thank you for the nice introduction. And I look forward to our chat and discussion.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Hisham Sabry. I'm the General Manager of Roche Bulgaria. I look forward to connect with you in September during the Business Agility Bulgaria conference, where we can discuss and share together how Agile practices and the concept of agility in business can help deliver great business results for our customers and partners, and how also they can drive engagement and ensure that our teams are really passionate about our mission and very ambitious about delivering great things for our customers and our collaborators. I look forward to connect with you in September. Thank you.
The topic today is about authentic leadership. We really want to understand how we can lead people, how can we inspire, and actually, what is the leadership for you and where your story maybe started? Because I assume you were not always the general manager. So where is it all started and what is it?
So let me start with my name. My name is Hisham, and sometimes it could be a difficult name in Bulgaria. And quick background about this name. This is an Arabic old name that means a man who's generous, which is a good promotion. So in the old days where they used to offer their guests bread and milk,
okay,
and the guy or the gentleman who used to break a lot of bread and milk for a lot of guests, they consider him very generous. And I believe life was very generous to me. So I got some spirit from my name. And over the years, I was very, very lucky to work with a great people, a great leaders, a great coaches who supported me. I was also lucky to work in different countries. So overall, Bulgaria is like my number 8 country
Number
that I
8.
work
Okay.
and live in. And this is great pleasure and honor. But I think when you live in different countries, interact with different cultures and different people, you learn a lot, and this impact your growth, your leadership, your development. I owe this journey, maybe professional journey, like 21 years ago in different countries, that helped me to be the leader who I am today. To your question, what is leadership? It's a difficult question because it has been asked many times, and many people has opinion in that. But my belief is a good leader is someone who can really inspire people with the vision, and that vision can help them to do really a good cause, maybe for society, for business, for their own good and development. And leader cannot be in a space. Usually good leaders are surrounded by a lot of successful people. People, they can support them even when they have failures, learning, mistakes, management nightmares. They usually receive a very good support system and surround themselves with a good people, and they work together.
Great story. By the way, when you say you became a leader, was it your starting point? Was it like your dream to become a leader one day, or what was your journey? How did it start?
So actually, I started. I'm a pharmacist by education. In terms of education, I have master also in business administration, and both parents were pharmacists as well. So the pharmacy and things related to healthcare was always, a magical place. And some sad part of the story that my father passed away relatively early when I was 13 years old, and he was diagnosed with hepatic cancer. So I had this vision or this wish that I can do good things for people, or I can contribute to something. So the first child story or dream is to really have a medicine maybe for this disease. Mm-hmm. And then when you graduate from pharmacy or finish education, you know that it's not that simple. It's not that you can be a good man and just invent a medicine. And it's really a long journey and very organized and very, had a different stages. To get one medicine, for example, to people, it can take more than 10 years. So then I realized that maybe I need to start, the journey and learn from different cultures, from different healthcare system, try to help patients to the best of my ability, even if I'm not able to be the inventor, the person who invent the medicine, personally, but at least I can contribute to part of, if you call it the value chain or any part of contribution to patients. And then I started in Egypt only 1 year. Then in different countries, I worked in Saudi, in the Gulf countries. I worked in Jordan, in Lebanon. I did some global rotation between Switzerland and the United States.
Okay.
I did some community pharmacy in UK, in London, in Paddington. And in 2021, I joined the team here in Roche Bulgaria as the general manager of Roche Bulgaria.
Awesome, amazing story. Was it your plan to go to so many countries and places?
So plus the dream of having, inventing something, I was always enjoying traveling. For me, traveling was really, fun. I mean, getting to know new places, new people, new cultures. I'm a big fan of history, and I like to see history in different places. So I think part of the vision to develop my leadership is to be in different places. Mm-hmm. Again, being in certain parts of the Middle East, almost most of the parts in the Middle East, and then going global with places like Switzerland and the United States, and finally to come here to Eastern Europe, to Bulgaria, where also there is a great history. You have really a great history in Bulgaria. And I see also a lot of needs in the healthcare systems in this part of the world, which stimulated me as a leader to really be part of the team who's tackling those challenges.
And have you always, your whole career worked in the healthcare industry, or you have also experience in something else?
Actually, almost majority of the professional career is in the healthcare industry, but it's very interesting that my first real job was in a restaurant.
Oh.
And I think it has to do, it was in London also, in Paddington as well. And what happened that I spent most of the summer vacation working in the pharmacy of my parents. Mm-hmm. And this is not a real job because, Your parents are the owner of the pharmacy. Most of the people knew you as relatives, friends. So I wanted to see the real world and travel to London. And you just pass by the restaurants. That was between the second and third year of the university, and come and say, okay, I want to work. And you can imagine from leadership perspective, at this time, you have like zero self-awareness. You don't know what skills you have and what you can offer the world. So you step in the restaurant and you tell the restaurant owner or manager, I would like to work here. Then he said, okay, interesting. Do you have any experience in restaurants? No. Okay. Do you speak?
I have eaten in restaurants.
I have eaten in a lot of different good restaurants. Do you speak English? We are in London. This story in London. It was early in my school, days. I don't speak good English. Then I say, relatively like beginner, English beginner. He said, okay, what job are you looking for? I looked to the restaurant, I can be the manager of the restaurant. And then the gentleman said, very good, very nice.
Did you say that really?
I said that to the guy. Yes, I was very confident and very self-aware.
I can be your boss.
I can be your boss if you want. I can do a great boss. And then the guy said, okay, I have the right job for you. And then he sent me to the basement where you start, I cut a lot of onions
So
for like...
you can start with manager of the basement.
Exactly. So I was the general manager of the basement.
General manager of the onions.
Exactly. Onions, cutting potatoes, cleaning hundreds of dishes, etc. But I think this experience was very important because this is the real touch of the world, And you get to know, like, from self-awareness perspective, you have to have something and to offer to the world. Maybe you like restaurant, but this is not enough. You have to offer something to the world that the world appreciate and it can add value.
Yeah, and I think you can also learn from this guy. I mean, he gave you a chance. He saw you. He didn't say, go away. He tried to invest in you in some way, I mean.
Exactly.
It's what leaders do, right?
Exactly. I think the guy was great because he gave me my first real job. And the team down, by the way, they were great. Again, my specialty was not cooking, was only cleaning and cutting. But you get to know, for example, the head chef. Great guy. One of the best people who can cook that I have met in my life. And he became a dear friend. The rest of the guys, how do they work together? How they work hard? How you need to start develop empathy for everyone. Because everyone comes with a story, Yeah. And then you start to have your own story there and the other people as well. So I think it was really a very good start for the professional life. Yeah.
Okay.
Where did you go after?
After that, I went back to the university, completed my university, then again did 1 year in Egypt, in one of the companies in Egypt. And then I started after 1 year my journey as an expat. So it was in Saudi. And this was like 2004, beginning of 2004. So for the past 20 years, I've been outside my home country, Egypt.
And from what I know, you were doing also marketing at some point, right?
Actually, I did at the beginning sales for 4 years. Then after 4 years, maybe 2007, I did my first marketing job. And again, it's very interesting when you start a new chapter in your professional life as a leader, as a manager, where usually you have an increase of your ego. So you have this feeling of, you are the king of the world. So now moving from the sales, which is really a hard job, carrying your, bag, going from one clinic to another, promoting certain medicine, to a marketing role, where suddenly I found myself responsible for 6 countries. It was the Gulf Cooperation Council countries. It was Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, and Bahrain. So I felt very important. And the ego went really up as a leader. It looks like I'm a very important man. And then one interesting story that my first event, at this time, marketing team used to organize events. So I had to organize a regional event. So I got the job in July, August. The event was in October. In August, September, they came, as a marketing manager.
Quite big, right? Regional, in that region should be a lot of people.
Exactly, more than 100 people, exactly. Okay. And this is the main annual event for the company. And the company really was leader in its field at this time. And suddenly you have that big of an ego and that low of expertise, experience, self-awareness. And you have to go, work on this event. And definitely, as you can imagine, it was the worst event ever. I mean, the quality of the stage was low, the quality of the speakers, the quality of the the agenda. The overall event was really lousy. And then the event was not in the country where I was in. I was based in Saudi. The event was outside, taking the plane back. And on the day after, your manager called for a meeting. And then you can expect what you can hear. I went to the room, kind of anticipating, what will happen. And then the guy said, Hisham, please sit down. What do you think about the event we just get back from? I said, it was really bad. Feel really bad about that. And then I was waiting for whatever firing or whatever will happen next.
Punishment.
Yeah.
Prepare.
Then the guy asked, kind of magical question. What would you do differently? What can you do differently? Then I said, probably I can start early. Now, actually, in October, I can start preparing 1 year ahead for the event. Maybe I can go to our customers, partners, ask them what would be really of high value. Maybe try to co-create the agenda with other people who are more expert than me, invite international expertise. I started to brainstorm. He said, it looks like a good start. Please go ahead and start. And then I left the room and I was surprised but happy that I survived.
Revealed.
But I really always feel very grateful to this, this leader or this coach, because the most easy in such a situation as a leader to be blaming. You can blame someone, to accuse someone, to really take a very aggressive action on someone. But maybe this gentleman, he saw some kind of potential, and his leadership style and mindset is allowing him to give space for the people, to trust people, to give people, second chance. I always feel very, very grateful to such type of leaders.
It's easy to say, to leave space for people, but I think the difficult part is to leave them to make mistakes, to fail, like in your case, to learn from your mistakes. Do you do it now?
I try my best. I try my best with my team. I can claim that I try to the best of my ability to really give the right space and to empower as much as I can. Even sometimes some of the feedbacks I've received that you are empowering too much.
Oh.
So now here is again the
What
polarity.
is too much empowering?
That's
I mean,
I'll tell you, I'll tell you the point of view and what I try to improve and develop. Because there is a polarity, there is the empowerment. So you can empower me too much if you are my boss or my line manager, but I need to have accountability as well from my side. In return to your empowerment, I need to give you accountability. So how you can balance, you help him balance that. You have the empowerment and the space, as you said, to make mistakes, to learn. But at the same time, you have clear accountability. You have clear guardrails. Have you as a leader give the clear vision where we are looking to go together? Have you provided as a leader the right support system? Because too much empowerment and space, and if you step back, it can be also not the best. So this is something in the past couple of years I try to also, work on more, really to kind of balance between empowerment and accountability at the same time.
How do you manage to balance?
I think you start with some baby steps, because when you try something new as a leader, it's not easy. For example, speaking about empowerment, I found my empowerment kind of comfort zone. So I'm happy to empower people, to trust people, to assume that. But at the same time, I double check. We have what we call it check-in. So every 2 weeks, for example, you sit with your team member one-to-one for half an hour, and you just ask, if we speak about his or her contribution, are you really clear? What are the priority for the coming 90 days? How that links to our purpose or North Star? So you make sure through those check-ins that the expectations are aligned. Because sometimes for some people, you don't have the same expectation, and you as a leader, you have this assumption. If I try as much as I can, there is a regular question I ask, how much I can support you? What can I do for you? How can I support you better? And even in the last 5 minutes, if you ask for a quick feedback during those check-ins, very, very simple feedback. What did you appreciate, for example, in the last period? What you invite me to consider? So we try to do those calibration. And again, every 90 days, we try to get feedback. Even for feedback, 90 days could be too long because feedback need to be timely. But we try as much as we can that we have a checkpoint every 90 days. And we ask this question if this empowerment is balanced with accountability as well.
This is amazing. Basically,
I think even the people can take this as a straight tool. I mean, that what you're explaining is something that everyone can do. If you're in a leadership position, you have people that you're leading, what you're just saying is something that everyone can try. I mean,
And this is what we call servant leadership. Basically, what you're describing is a leader who serves people, who tries to help them grow, to help them achieve their best, and to be aligned on common goals, not like a command and control kind of leader who is just demanding, pushing people to do certain tasks and checking in, not what they think about, but checking in what is the progress. Why isn't already done? I am expecting this by 5 o'clock or something like this. So this is a real, true example of servant leadership, and I really appreciate that you shared this with us and the audience as well.
Thank you, Bugila. It's really a pleasure, and it's very important. And again, it's a journey. This is also one trick or challenge with leadership. There is no final destination. You need to continue, because with the journey, you learn more, and you try to fine tune and adjust.
Okay. I have a question. Basically, because you started with your story about organizing this event and basically the nightmare you experienced, and nowadays how you lead people. So how did your leadership style change, if at all changed? Was it the same when you started back in the day and nowadays? Can you do some kind of a comparison, maybe? I'm curious.
Yeah, great point. I think definitely it has changed, because again, with time and experience, with successes, with learning, it changed. At the beginning, I think you focus on influence, especially when you don't have really formal authority again. So you try to focus on influence, how you can influence people. And then my humble experience, when you get your formal authority, again, you have increase in your ego. Oh, now I'm the manager. This is the moment, And then again, with time, you understand that it's some way in between. It's not really about the very formal authority. And you have to increase more this informal part. I think this is what happens, across time. And then with each situation, with the good situations and the bad situations, you really have your leadership growing. For example, a few years back, maybe 3 or 4 years back, I had this experience in Lebanon when a lot of very difficult events happened, explosion, financial crisis, political instability. And at this time, I learned 2 things. The first thing is empathy. Really have empathy for the people. Have real empathy, and not only words. If it can be supported by actions, people will really appreciate empathy during difficult times. And this is something was the most impactful. In this story, for example, after the explosion, we did many things for the people to support them. We offered psychological support. We fixed some homes. We even sent some food baskets to their home, because that was a food issue in the city. But afterward, when I asked people what was the most impactful or what touched your heart, they said mostly a message from you on WhatsApp or a phone call. How are you? How do you do? How can we support you? So this very small example about empathy was really important. And this is something I try to keep with me, because everyone has a story in business life and in professional life and personal life. Everyone has a story, and you have to have this empathy. And the other one, as a leader, I think you need to manage your emotions. Because again, part of this ego that sometimes you feel, okay, now I'm very professional. I'm top in terms of emotional intelligence. I can manage them. But sometimes you hide them under the surface. So I think something I have learned as well, either when you have too much stress as a leader, you have really to let some of your emotions to go out and to deal with them. And not to say that everything is okay, because sometimes everything is not okay. And you have to manage this, emotion, and have your oxygen mask, this famous example with the flights, and then you can help others and provide them with the oxygen mask. For those, I think 2 things really during the journey and recent years, how to have more empathy and support really people and try to come from this angle. And this is second one, how to manage your own emotions as a leader.
So if I can summarize, like a very brief essence of what you're saying. In the beginning, when you start with a leader, as not experienced one, you're trying to lead the others. But when you get more experience, you start leading yourself. I mean, you start focusing not on the others, but on yourself. And this is exactly this authentic leadership that we want to talk about, which in other words we use is leading by example. It's leading first by yourself and then the others. So how do you lead by your personal example?
I think a part of it, what I do personally, is some journaling and reflection. So really by the end of the week, or even if there is a major situation within the week, I sit down and I write. And I try to reflect what happened, what I did well in this situation, what was not like really didn't go well, and what I can do different in the future. So this is something I do to ground myself and try to be more authentic. The other thing is the support system. I can claim that I have a great support system. Some colleagues, some peers, some people in my team that can act as a trusted advisor. I have a mentor that I speak to him and I discuss with him personal issues, professional issues. I think having this, support system help you as a leader to be more authentic and more grounded. For those are two things I do personally as a leader: the journaling and reflection, and having a mentor and support system.
This is very interesting. About the journaling, I'm very curious because it's not common practice, I think. Maybe it is.
What is journaling? How we can explain?
So journaling, you just sit down and write. Some people like to write on paper, just to get a pen and paper. I, in the last years, became writing on the iPad. I don't know if this is good or bad, but I just get used to it. To just sit on a quiet place and try to make it regular.
Okay.
Different people have different frequencies. I personally do weekly. Some people even can do daily or twice or 3 times, a week. Some people do every 2 weeks. I think weekly is a reasonable. It's not too short and it's not too long. I think the trick is keep the same time. Set a reminder for yourself. Sit in a quiet place, take some time and reflect on what happened, let's say in the past week. Sometimes I don't wait to my regular time, let's say Friday evening, but if during the week something big happened, either something good or bad, I really like to sit in a quiet place and write my emotions. Like, for example, again, what did I do well in this situation? What went wrong? If something went wrong, what was the reason? Why this person or this situation escalated this way? What I can do differently? For usually getting your emotions and your thoughts on a paper or on iPad or whatever can ground you, can make you more, let's say, calm, can give you more time to reflect on what happened on the past, and then you can start fine-tune or do something different. So I see this practice is helpful, the journaling, and again, having the right support system. Have someone you trust that you can speak to timely about professional issues, about personal issues, about career, about any challenge you are in, even if you are in a health challenge or whatever. So I think I found this very, very important in terms of leadership development.
This is super interesting because actually maybe this is some kind of natural here character in Bulgaria, I don't know. But we're not so used to, the Bulgarians, to use coaches, mentors. We try always to deal on our own, with the stuff. How do you find such a person to be your mentor, your coach?
That's a very good point. I think first it's very important to have this as a coach or mentor. Usually it depends on what are you looking for. So let's say I'm just looking for listening, someone who's a good listener, a thought partner, etc. So you will look for someone with certain wisdom, at least someone who's a good listener, someone you can trust, and so on. If you are looking into a technical skills, if I want to develop my strategic thinking or something related to my communication, maybe I go to one expert in this field. And usually you have, a meeting or a session at the beginning when you do a contract or agreement that this is what we expect from each other. And this is what we are going to do. This is what we are not going to do. For example, confidentiality is critical. And both parties need really to be really keen on this one. And then for things like coaching, to set, expectations again. And this is interesting because even when I do coaching with my team, they sometimes expect the answers. And this is not the role of the coach. Coach, he or she will not do that for you. Yeah. But usually the coach will do with you, 3 things. The coach can help you to increase your self-awareness. So he or she can be your mirror, can help you, can give you some tools, things that you can follow to increase your self-awareness. Second, he or she need to build trust with you. And trust is very important for us, even when someone is supporting us. So this coach will provide me with trust. And the third and the last one, this coach will provide me with choice. She will give me the freedom of choice, not the solution. I will not ask him or her questions and they will answer, but they will give me the space to choose. Maybe they can help me to analyze if there are two solutions, what are the pros and the cons. Mentor a little bit different. Sometimes he or she can provide some answers, especially if the mentor is really expert in this area that I want to grow or develop in. But sometimes we have also this interesting discussion, and sometimes you go out and say, okay, now we stop the coaching discussion and we go to the other side just for both of us to be aware. I mean, the coach and the coachee.
Like changing heads, right?
Exactly.
One
Now
coach,
we are
one mentor. It's very good, and I really appreciate that you explained this so clearly about what is the value of the coach and mentor for you as a general manager. In the end, you were at so many places, and you still look for ways to grow, ways to improve. This is, I think, unique, and I think very important quality of a leader to always look continuous improvement. And also, what Nicole mentioned earlier, what we observe in our environment in Bulgaria is that we are also coaches. We also coach people, mentor people, and sometimes people are not really clear about the value. They ask us, okay, what value are you going to provide me? I'm going to sit down with you, but you're not going to give me answers. I'm going to find the answers. Why should I pay you in the end? Why should I hire you? But you expressed it very clearly. And I would like to circle back a bit on the journaling to ask you whether you're planning to maybe publish it sometime. I don't know, because you're doing this every 1 week or so. Do you plan to publish a book or something like this based on those notes?
By the way, I like to write in general. I mean, outside the journaling or reflections. So sometimes I write some, let's say, poem in Arabic, or I write some, let's say, novels in Arabic, but I never published. This is actually one of the to-do dreams, maybe close to retirement. Sometimes you say, maybe some of those important topics, like leadership, maybe you can combine some of the learning and even combine some of the learnings of other people. Definitely it's on the to-do list, but not very soon. But this is something I feel good about. I mean, when you write something and exchange knowledge, and even when you share a story, because this keep it alive in your memory as well.
If you decide sometime to publish, I'm definitely going to read it, and I am sure that the audience as well is going to appreciate it. And
we can provide some early feedback.
Yes, of course. And in the end, this is the most valuable thing. You're going to share your own experience. This might help other leaders to grow as well, which is what you do anyway. By the way, about this reflection every week, writing down is what I can do a parallel with Agile ways of working, doing a retrospective, right? On a team level, what we do is to hold regular retrospective events for the team to self-reflect on how they work together, how they improve. But what you're basically explaining is applying this Agile practice for yourself.
Like personal retrospection.
Personal retrospection. And this is actually what we also teach companies and teams, that this is the key ingredient, the only mandatory practice that is going to help you become more agile, both as a team and as an organization. Because we're going to talk also about business agility, as you know.
But you're familiar, about Agile. Is it something? How did you get? Because what you explained exactly, step by step, what I did last week, well, not well, blah blah blah, reflection. It's exactly what we teach people in retrospective, in team perspective. So where did you face Agile?
I think in general it was also part of our business journey in the past years. For one part of the transformation and the change we have gone through was this Agile journey, And the first question was really linked to our North Star or our purpose. So if you really want to help the patients earlier, what need to happen? And as Boogie nicely was summarizing, there is part individual related to leaders, and there is part related to the teams. And in the individual part, we have focused, I personally as a leader focused on the balance between creative tendencies and reactive tendencies. how you can be more self-aware as an individual leader of your creative tendency when you coach, for example, when you communicate, when you share vision, when you collaborate, when you have really responsibility for the community and the society. And some of your reactive tendency as well, the controlling, the command and control, if you are in a blaming mode or if you are in a pleasing mode. First of all, to be very aware about that, and to be very aware when are you using those energies, the reactive energies and the creative energies. This is on individual level. And then to the team, as you said, adopted some of the rituals you spoke about, the impact retrospective. By the way, yesterday I had the impact retrospective with my team.
Okay.
It was very fresh yesterday. So we do also those impact retrospectives every 3 months.
Okay.
And again, we try to fine tune and to see what we can do differently in the coming 90 days. How we can celebrate some of the successes. Something also we try to improve and we try to do more celebrating, some of the failures, because even today we are in the Management Nightmare podcast, really, because sometimes you are not very encouraged to share your failures. It's not very, very pleasant. But over the past year, we were encouraging that on an individual level and on a team level. And the angle we are coming from is a very constructive and creative angle, that this can be a learning for the future. Over the past year, we were living, those rituals, trying to go through those agile journey. And I can say that the experience overall was very, very successful, either internally within our organization or externally also with our customers and partners as well.
This is actually what I want to ask you, because what you explain, it's really, for us, it's music for our ears, how you change, sharing mistakes, etc. But what's your point of view on the business impact of all that? Because this is kind of the internal story. We did this, we do that, we change the way we interact. But can you measure or somehow assess the impact of this agile transformation journey that you've started on the business?
Very good point. I think there is a trick that at the beginning you have, whether you like it or not, to focus more on the process with all the side effects on that. Because you need to make a certain investment to do change management, changing mindset, which is very difficult, set a new process, set a new structure, try to set a new culture. And this takes time. And this gives you some focus on the process, which is not very, very pleasant at the beginning, especially for people who are driven and want to drive results. But definitely, as you said, the most important later is really how you can achieve results. And in our case, being in the healthcare, I can reflect on some examples. Let's say very important thing for the patients is access to healthcare innovation. And if you look into Bulgaria, it takes 2 years, for example, since the EMA approval in Europe, the regulatory approval. So our patients in Bulgaria can get access to healthcare innovation, whether it's medicine or any other healthcare innovation. And in our case, for example, we always set a target for our side to cut this time by half or by 60%. Can we do it better than the benchmark? And this is definitely something you can really even inspire agile teams about that, how you can help patient and deliver innovation in less time, how you can have a role in shaping the healthcare environment. We can speak later about digitalization of the healthcare system or other things. So definitely those comes. I mean, again, to be very authentic and very true, at the beginning we had a great focus on the process, and I personally didn't feel good about that because we are in business by the end of the day. But then I think with time, once you are on a solid ground, you have the right process or mindset, structure, culture, you can really start to see fruits on the business. You can measure also customer satisfaction, customer engagement. For over the past years, I can claim that this experience was successful for us.
So did it work? For example, these 2 years, did you manage to, for specific thing to cut it?
For many of our innovation, we managed to get the reimbursement, for example, in less than 2 years, which was great. Because if you think from a patient perspective, every clinical trial, every reimbursement decision, every regulatory decision can make a difference. If you think about, cancer patient, for example, or any other serious disease of huge burden. I think we feel very proud of that. This agile also journey helped us sometimes to bring innovation earlier to patients, to collaborate better with our partners and customers. I think in many scenarios it helped to achieve very good business results.
Now is the time to say that Hisham is going to be speaker to our business agility conference, where he's going to tell more stories about this impact of the agile ways of working, culture, etc. into the business, because the topic is business agility. So we're super proud that Hisham is going to talk in this conference. It's going to be on 26th of September in the hall of UNSC. So check our website, check the Business Agility Bulgaria conference, and of course buy tickets, because the earlier you do it, the better the price will be. And we'll wait for you there.
Yeah, we expect you.
Hello, my name is Hisham Sabry. I'm the General Manager of Roche Bulgaria. I look forward to connect with you in September during the Business Agility Bulgaria conference, where we can discuss and share together how agile practices and the concept of agility in business can help deliver great business results for our customers and partners, and how also they can drive engagement and ensure that our teams are really passionate about our mission and very ambitious about delivering great things for our customers and our collaborators. I look forward to connect with you in September. Thank you.
Cool, Hesham. It was really interesting story about the impact of agile and agility on the business and the fruits that you already see as achievements. You said about setting ambitious goals, about putting very, very ambitious goals. How does it help? If it helps, does it help?
Definitely. I think it helped big time to really think, and set ambitious goals, because sometimes you can think in a very conservative matter. We in many scenarios, we underestimate what we can achieve. You can speak about something and then you say, this is impossible to happen, And I can even use a very recent example here in Bulgaria, that in the past months, I think we are now finally in Bulgaria, we have a strategy for digitalizing the healthcare system in Bulgaria. And it's official and it's signed and everything. And this was a dream for many years. And I remember 21 when I came and we speak with very professional and experts. And many of them were saying, okay, maybe it will not happen, And if you see the World Health Organization assessment of Europe in terms of that, you see X on Bulgaria, that we don't have digital health strategy, which is a foundation.
Actually, just sorry that I'm interrupting, but we had Mira here as our guest, and she spoke very proudly about this strategy. Mira Ganova from the Healthcare Digital Cluster, so check this episode as well.
Mira is a great and inspiring leader and a great friend and someone I always look up to, and I really appreciate her big time. And I think she had a great contribution to such a milestone and achievement. And back to your question about ambitious goals, I think this is one example of ambitious goals, because people said, we don't have it, it's not realistic, etc. But again, I think there is piece about really challenging the teams, sometimes challenging agile teams, and help the teams to think big and think beyond what we believe it is possible. Because here I see the risk that you are very reluctant and conservative, and we can do this small thing and it's fine, But I think people and nations who do great things, they really think big. I think setting ambitious goals is very, very important.
I agree too. To be honest, I've seen more traditional managed organizations where leaders, managers, they put goals that are close to 100% certain they are going to be achieved, just to be on the safe side, maybe concerned about their bonuses in the end, and maybe other personal motivations. But what you're expressing, setting an ambitious goal, something that you even don't believe might be possible, but still trying your best to achieve it, is going to help you to get the maximum that you can, right? Maybe you cannot achieve the goal itself that you set initially, but you're going to be as close as possible to it,
but,
right?
Okay, but let's ask the question in the other way around. Okay, you put yourself a stretch goal. Like, as you said, the treatment, the usual timing is 2 years. Now you set a goal to cut it in 60%. And when you don't get it, because it's obviously super hard, what happens?
So when you don't get it, we sit again as a team and we reflect. What did you do well and what can we do better? So even in the examples I told you that 2 years and let's break the 2 years, in some cases we didn't do the 2 years. We did more. Maybe we did in 3 years. And then definitely again back, you have some emotions at the beginning. You are sad, you feel down, you don't feel good. But then you need to get the team together again and reflect and think internally and externally with our partners what can be done, differently. What we have learned from this failure or something didn't go well as per our ambition. It happens definitely, but in many scenarios we take it as learning. What can we do differently? And again, the interesting thing in many scenarios, you find things you can do differently, because again, here back to the ego, either the individual leader ego or the team ego, that you said we were perfect, we did everything right. But if you take the emotions a little bit aside and the ego also a little bit aside, and you try to cool down and sit together and reflect, you might find some things that you can do differently. And this also is very, very interesting and very encouraging.
This is cool, and we should not forget to mention that in order for this to work, you need to have the right organizational culture to allow this actually to happen. Yes, you can say we're going to set ambitious goals, but people still might not do their best. When you say, let's celebrate our failures, let's share our failures, people might be hesitant to do it. How do you nurture, how do you lead the culture and the behaviors you want to see in the people? What is your secret or your recipe, if you have such?
I think that the starting time is the purpose. You call it the purpose, the vision, the North Star. So definitely how much you invest in as a leader to make it realistic for the people. If I use our organization as an example, our purpose is doing now what patients need next. And it's very inspiring one for me, but maybe if you are new to the organization or something, you need to see it in action. So we always encourage sharing stories, inviting partners, inviting patients, inviting other people who can translate to our team what does it mean to do now for what patients need next. This is very important to make sure that the purpose is really clear for everyone. The other part you mentioned already is the culture. What you do formally and what you do informally. What you really reward and what you don't appreciate and you don't accept and you even punish. Your formal and informal actions. Because in many scenarios, what you say in the cafeteria or beside the coffee machine or on the corridor is very, very important compared to what you say in a public nice meeting with 100 people sitting in the, in the meeting room. We always, in our enabling team or leadership team, we call it the enabling team because their role is to really enable the organization. In the enabling team meeting, you will find a lot of disagreement. I have an opinion to the right. You have an opinion to the left. But the moment we have decided, everyone need to support. I cannot come outside the meeting and I said, okay, those 7 people decided on that. But you know what? My heart is with you. This is not very, very, very not good thing. So really, this is a killer. Again, the culture is very important, having the right, enabling team or leadership team. And then we worked hard also over the year on structure and the process. The more the structure is flat and the whole organization is close to their clients, their customers, their partners, this is very important. And this is something we worked on. And the process. So like quick decision making. If you can have for some stuff, we have some stuff that doesn't need approval. Like, for example, one person can do the thing and it's approved. It can be recorded on the system. You can have a record for future audit or whatever. Some things maybe will need only 1/1 approval. So how much from process perspective you can make decision, making faster. If you ask about a formula, those are like the dimensions or the parameters that we are trying to move within. Again, the vision or the purpose, the culture, very, very important, the masterpiece, and then the structure and the process.
It's very interesting that what you're saying is also in the context of super highly regulated system. Because many people would think about, but how? This is, laws and regulations and etc. Everything needs to be approved 100 times before getting a go live or green light. So
You are right, yeah. And this is definitely not easy. It's actually a big challenge because we are in a very regulated industry and very sensitive industry because it's related to the people's lives.
Yep.
And definitely there is something we work hard on also is the competency. How much you as an individual leader is competent. And this is something you need to be self-aware that this is very important because you have healthcare regulation that you need to respect. You have a local laws and regulation. You have things related to privacy and the confidentiality. So we try really to invest in the competency also. And for everyone to be really accountable. We have a quality person within the company, even within our local affiliate in Bulgaria. We have people related to healthcare compliance and legal. You can always go to them, consult them. They participate in the early phases of co-creation. So even when you have an innovative, creative idea, you engage immediately, the quality people, the healthcare compliance, the legal people, so they can give you early feedback and so on. But definitely it's a challenge. It's a very important point. And again, everyone need to have where we started the discussion, the accountability and the responsibility. Because as an individual leader, I should know that I'm accountable. And it's a very important decision that can impact patient lives, etc. You should have this deep inside you, this accountability and responsibility and the competency, that you are competent to take those decisions.
And from what I understand, when you say investment in competency, you don't mean only in the subject matter of your job, like I am, expert in X, not only investing in getting better in this X, but also in broader sense.
Definitely in broader sense. In general, our philosophy of this one, like competency specifically, it doesn't specifically need to have with your main job or main job description, but it can part of your development, can part of your career aspiration. It can part of you have some space or capacity that you can support other team and function. And we have kind of formula, which is 70-20-10. 70% is what you do with your hand. So if you want to learn something related to healthcare compliance, we were talking about the importance of regulation in the industry, you have to go and do a gig or a work package or a task or project related to healthcare compliance. You need to dedicate time in the coming 90 days to do something. Second, 20% is a mentor. Find someone who's expert. If we stay with the same example, healthcare compliance, find really a healthcare compliance leader. Someone who's on the job for some time, someone who's really very successful. And the remaining 10%, you can do training, classroom training, online training, reading a book. This can be only 10% of your development. So we have this formula. When you speak about competency, if you identify certain competency that is very, very important, you follow this 70-20-10 model.
And how do people take it? Because, for example, we started with a bit small comparison between IT and healthcare in this case. For example, in IT, it's very, let's say, common sometimes young people or even not so young to say, but that's not my job. I don't care about testing. I'm backend developer.
It's very interesting. I mean, from one side, we need to appreciate the differences between the generation, the different generation. And again, all of us need to be aware because I'm in the office with a great leader, 20 years old. He or she have a very different mindset and priority from my own priority. So this is something even the team worked on to increase our awareness of the different priorities of the different generations. But on the other side, back to your question, as a leader, part of the culture, you explain that. For example, when I started my career, you were asking about the start of the journey. I was under the impression of the spoon feeding. That you are my line manager, you will come with a spoon, okay, eat that. This is your leadership development. This is your competency development, I was under this theory when I started my career. I'm waiting for this angel, he or she will help me and spoon feed me.
Mommy
in
and
reality,
daddy.
exactly, mommy and daddy theory, In reality, that doesn't exist. And this is part of the culture. So even if you are a different generation with a different priority, but maybe you have this passion for career and you want to grow further and so on. So we start explaining that this is the culture, or this is, the way, the narrative, the roadmap, that part of it is your self-awareness. You need to have a very good self-awareness about yourself as an individual leader. Define your destination. Where do you want to go in terms of career? But then if you do today X job, let's say you do sales, and you are interested into something else, maybe you need to do marketing. And here it comes that it's important to do this gig or work package or whatever, have this mentor. So this is how you have this dialogue and to try to set it. And I think part of it, again, is setting expectations. So, but as I started my thoughts, that it's also important to have their eyes and their point of view, because they are very, very different, very, very different people. We always joke, for example, I most of the time go with jacket or suit. Most of the other people, they come with jeans and t-shirt, and you have to appreciate. Even I try to change, and people are excited. Yesterday we had a certain celebration. I had a red t-shirt. People were happy. But I think we need to find also a place in between. We have to appreciate the different point of view of different generations. And then this culture also is evolving.
I would say as well, I would add to what you're saying, based on our experience working with Roche back in the day and other healthcare companies. Yes, generation difference is obviously a factor. But what I think is an even larger factor for success and this difference is what you mentioned earlier about the purpose, about the vision. Because we saw people who were there caring about patients, caring about how their work is going to affect and reflect on real people lives. Versus IT organizations, mostly they don't really care or know the customer. Of course, the products they're sometimes building are not so crucial for people's health or whatever. I will never forget when we were doing the training, Nicole was explaining in the beginning of the podcast. When we sat down, we didn't start the training. The lady, Diana Dimitrova,
Your colleague. And,
the colleague, she started the training by explaining to the team that last year they helped X women to live better lives. And she said, we don't know who those women are. We don't know their names, but they are X amount, I don't remember the number, but significant number. And what we want to do is to multiply next year to help
increase
the number of these women. This is what we drew. And this was at the start of our training and our journey. Everybody was aligned about why are we doing this? Why are we here? What is the purpose to learn about Scrum or Kanban or daily stand-ups or Scrum or retrospectives, planning, etc., backlogs. This was I think the key ingredient.
Yeah. We were reflecting with Bogi on that, and we say, did you see the difference in the way that people take this thing seriously and motivated compared to, let's say, another company where, I don't know, the thing that they're doing is not so, impactful maybe in terms of society.
Yeah.
Very important. I think this is exactly what drives people forward when they feel this passion, as you said, for a specific cause. This is very important. And if you have the right vision and the right purpose, you can really do miracles. Like the example you said about helping, for example, breast cancer patients or other patients. If you really have this passion and the purpose is clear, you can do a lot of things.
Yes, and the attitude, the professionalism is quite visible and significant because the practice to have daily Scrum, daily for 15 minutes. And the team, back then, it is a team of people who are on the road. They are by car, they go to meet doctors, and they say, we cannot fix a specific time in the day, every day, everybody to be together because we are on the go. But they managed it, even with this constraint that they have meetings. Sometimes not everybody joined. We were holding the daily scrums virtually, and people were on the gas stations in front of the office from their phone on the highway. It was, for me, striking experience.
That was the time before the COVID when all that became natural. But back then, someone to get into the daily sync from the phone, from the highway, on a way to the hospital, etc. That was very, very nice.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a very big change of habits before and after COVID. Yeah.
And just to finish my story, when we compare to IT teams, even if they're all co-located in the same office, like desk by desk,
Okay.
they are sometimes complaining, why should we do this? I don't want to do this. Leave me alone. What is this, etc. So it's a big difference.
Exactly. Like you said the right ambition and the right vision and purpose, and usually people are motivated. And I think good practice also to measure engagement. I mean, part of those impact retrospective, you really have a checkpoint, either 90 days, 6 months, 1 year. But good to see how much people are really inspired by this vision, passionate about this cause in whatever industry they are working for. This is also one practice we have found very beneficial to measure engagement and to see what actions and rituals are improving the engagement and what rituals can really impact negatively the engagement. And then you can fine tune and change. And usually this engagement of the team is very much interconnected with customer satisfaction, with customer engagement. Somehow they are mirroring each other.
Cool. I want to bring the topic slightly back. You mentioned a few times about ego. How do you manage when you're growing? Now you're general manager, you have plenty of people. How do you manage to stay grounded?
A very good point. I think the key word is self-awareness. And I think self-awareness is needed for every part of the journey. How much you keep pushing on yourself and you take it as accountability to improve your self-awareness. And second, how much you build yourself this support system of people who can give you timely feedback. When you're here, your ego was really high, more than the truth, or no, this is fine, or so I think this is very, very important. Again, all the time you try to surround yourself with successful people. Whether your team, try to have really very, very good people, successful people. Many of my team are better than me, for example. If I claim that my company is successful in the example I told you, in reimbursement on access, because the access person is better than me, more stronger than me in this part. If I tell you that we are happy that we stick very much to the healthcare compliance, because I have a brilliant compliance people. So I think it's critical if in professional life and also in my personal life, I try to surround myself with really successful people. And in many scenarios, more successful than me. So you always look up to them and you think that, there is more to, there is more to do. Those people who are positive, those people who are really with growth mindset. For this, always this support system and the self-awareness help you to stay grounded. Because whether you like it or not, your ego will go high. Again, as the simple examples I shared, when you get a promotion, for example, or when you have a big, professional or personal success, you get a new fancy car, for example, and for some days you feel really,
important.
Yeah, important, which is normal, emotion, and we need to accept it. But I think with time, you try to use this, again, self-awareness tool, multiple self-awareness tool, and the support system around you to really ground you and help you to stay authentic, stay true to yourself, continue your growth journey. Because again, the famous, question in the interviews, tell me about your development area. And then people said, no, I'm perfect, everything's perfect, And again, I think it's a journey. It's not a certificate. It's not one day that I will give you, a certificate. Boogie, you are the greatest leader of the world. Of
course.
No, it's actually a journey. And with every, station, with every chapter, you will have different mindset because you yourself, you grow. Sometimes your priorities change, etc. I think this is important to continue this journey and remain grounded as much as you can.
Amazing. About this supporting system, you mentioned it a couple of times already. Did you invent it yourself? Did you read about it? How did you learn about this notion?
That's a very good point. In general, I have this tendency for people. I enjoy being with people. I'm a people person. But I think also with career, you start to know that for career, for professional life, and for personal life, you need to invest in that. So even if you are in a new company, for example, you invest on the width of your network. So you are very excited. You get to know people in different functions in different countries. But maybe after that, good to invest in the breadth.
Okay.
Let's say 3, 4, 5 people can be really a trusted advisor, can be really a consultant, people you can exchange with on thoughts, on business, on professional, on personal life. For this is something I try in my professional life to have people, for example, in the industry I trust within Bulgaria, within Roche, outside Roche, in other countries, people that I give a phone call and ask a question. And definitely you need to give back. It's not a one day. So you need to be really reliable. Once, if those people need you need to give back. And the same for the personal, at least have 3, 4 people, like I go to people. I know that if I go to this person, he or she will really support me. And it's the same. It's a commitment. I think over the year, it became like a way of thinking, a mindset, that you need both of those in your professional and personal life as well.
And are there also some books, for example, that kind of helped you? Maybe you can share with the audience.
Definitely, yeah. There are actually multiple books. We spoke a lot about writing and reading, so I like definitely to read like many other people. And there are many books, but maybe this time, because we spoke a lot about transitions, there is the very famous and interesting book for leadership transition and management transition, The First 90 Days.
Oh.
Okay.
The first 90 days is like the Bible of transitions. If you are into a new job, if you are into a promotion, you are going to a new company or a new country. So I have this book in my, like in my place. And with every transition, I go back to the book. And you read chapter so by chapter. So it has a very like practical advices on how do you manage transition if you are, in a new place. From self-awareness, how you manage yourself. Because sometimes even if you get a promotion, you're still living in the past. You still think in the past and you want to play to your strengths in the past while the environment changes, your role changes. How you manage the people around you. If you have a partner, a family, how do you take care of them if you go to a new city or a new country? Because it will be tough on them as well. So this book is one of the interesting one for leadership and management transition because it's very practical. And it always helped me as a leader when I manage a difficult transition, new country, new company, to really go back and try to get and live some of those wisdoms.
And the first 90 days.
The first 90 days.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Okay, we're going to publish it in the description section for this episode so people can find it easily. By whom? Do you know the author name?
Michael Watkins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to look for it. And I think in our beginning conversations before the podcasts, you mentioned another book about mindset change.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. For a famous professor of psychology from Stanford, and speak that big part of the success is coming from the mindset. So part of it is about the growth mindset. Maybe we talked earlier a little bit about that, but we can expand. So really growth mindset is very important. So even in the people you are working with or with people even in your personal life, some people come with challenges and they like to cry. So I go into some meeting and someone is coming talking for 30 minutes about the challenge and to cry about it. And other people, it happened recently. Last week I was coming from a break and then a team member came. There is this challenge and it was really big challenge. I took those actions. This is the internal action. This is the external action. Within 2 days, the challenge is being solved. He was very cool. He was very calm. He was very grounded. He came with the challenge and with the solution. And those are the people with the growth mindset. They enjoy challenges. They put themselves in the solution mood. They don't shy off from failures and mistakes. They like to work in collaboration, so they like to work with other successful people. People with fixed mindset, they will shy off. Even when you spoke about the setting ambitious goals, they will not like that. They prefer very conservative, low-profile goals. They don't like to work in group because they perceive others as competitors. They like more to work alone. And definitely they will shy off from, if they have a failure or a mistake, they will not talk about it. So I think this book was talking about the psychology of success. It's really very, very important because mindset is key pillar in the success and growth of any leader.
Nice.
About the comparison between the fixed mindset and the growth mindset, of course, we are going to have both types of people in the organization. And actually, I've seen people who combine the two mindsets in different situations, right? In one situation, one has more fixed mindset. In another situation, the same person might be with a growth mindset. I think it depends on maybe the challenge, maybe the context, maybe the person's personal experience and knowledge. The question I have in mind is, how do you lead people to change their mindset? Because we cannot really change people's mindsets. We cannot open people's heads and tweak some stuff and the mindset is fixed. Change.
We'll see about that after the chips of Elon Musk.
Yeah, until that's happening, how can you do it? How can we do it practically to transition? Okay, we can mention the vision and purpose, etc. We already spoke, but maybe another thing, another stuff.
Very good point. Another good point. I think it starts even with recruitment. So what's your priority as a leader, as a recruiting manager, as a company when you recruit someone? And I can claim that this growth mindset should be really on the top of the list. When you ask the candidate or both her or him in assessment center or whatever, to really get from previous experience how this leader is behaving in different situations. In real life scenarios, if you are talking about day-to-day work, I think feedback is critical. Like the example I told you about last week, I give the gentleman the feedback. I told him one-to-one, this really was great. This was fantastic. You did the right thing. I also appreciated him in front of his team that you came with the challenge. It was a major challenge. You came with the solution. You stand behind it. You get it done. And also for the other case, you need to give the gentleman or the lady the feedback that this is, in this situation, the behavior to focus only on the challenge is not really a good thing. Let's focus on or move on the solution. And also, what's your role? Because again, back to the coaching discussion, when some of my team members come to me with the challenge, sometimes it's really big challenge, it's medium, it's small. Usually I pause and then I ask, what do you think? What do you think? What do you consider? What options are you consider? Because usually majority of us, most of the people are very good in identifying the problem, analyzing the problem, talking about, the root cause. But unfortunately, in general, in life, you meet few people who are really into the solution mode, people who are into execution, people who get things done, Usually I pause, I ask question, what do you think? What options are you consider? And by time it became part of the culture because they know that also we need to come with, a solution, and you give a feedback. When you see person who's mixed, as you said, growth mindset and fixed mindset, you give her or him the feedback. You say, in this specific situation, the behavior was that, the impact was that, and then the person need to develop, more self-awareness. What I have seen in many scenarios, it's coachable. So people will respond, especially if it's repetitive, especially if also the team has a very important, role to give this feedback. Because in this impact retrospective, we always encourage the teams to share their feedback. This is something we are working on. Again, like in our impact retrospective yesterday, we were speaking about the value of this group feedback. Because definitely feedback can be timely and I need to give it to you one-to-one. But sometimes, at least from my perspective, every 90 days, good to have a checkpoint and to see team perspective on our behavior, on our impact. In a recent scenario or recent situation, a colleague was saying, okay, I have a good intention. I had a good intention. That's great, but unfortunately what it counts is the actions. Because intention, I assume good intention because I know you are a good person. But what really counts in situation is the actions. And then he paused and say, I did a mistake. Okay, it's a mistake. So now we are good because at least I'm happy that we have self-awareness. We can really build for the future. So we work a lot with those feedback, like as much as we can, make it a culture, reward and champion, this feedback. We encourage leaders also to be like open to feedback and change behavior based on this feedback.
I think what you're saying is GOAT, basically. This is pure GOAT for leadership and management, giving feedback. What I get from what you're saying is that you're helping and making sure the environment is helping people to self-reflect based on the feedback and based on the coaching. You ask questions for them to come to their solution, to understand it. Because you can't just say to a person, you're having a fixed mindset, change it to growth mindset. You should not think that, you should do this, right? If the person doesn't come alone to this conclusion, this won't happen, right? And actually, it might be worse because they might actually push back. They can be in a defense mode.
Exactly. I think there are certain times also, because we started the discussion talking how agile and how leadership can help business performance. I think there is a moment we need to be assertive as well. I mean, we need to be, as a leaders, as a system, we need to be assertive. And for example, when we started Agile journey, one of the things we have seen that in the beginning of Agile journey, some teams can fail to manage low performance. And that was a problem. And you need to invent narrative and roadmap for it. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting when we speak to different cultures. I speak to a friend who works in a Japanese company in Japan. And I said, how do you manage in a team aspect, low performance? He said, we don't have low performance.
Doesn't exist.
We support them. Okay, we identified that Hisham or Bogi or Nicolas issue. We give him the feedback. We support him. We make sure that he or she gets the maximum support. And then he goes back on track and so on. And this is the philosophy. We tackle it, transparency. I was kind of shocked. But I think in some situations, we think about the culture, context. The team definitely need to address that. And maybe at certain limit, they need to even act on it and be assertive on it. And the individual leaders as well have responsibility. It's not very pleasant, because maybe it's good to give very positive feedback, good to promote people, etc. But at certain time, you need to be assertive, especially if low performance is associated with bad behavior. This is even a killer, because low performer can improve over time with the right support system, with the right mindset. But if bad behavior and if it's repetitive, this is something maybe as a leader you need to take an assertive stand.
Yeah.
This is what we call toxic people, right? Toxic behavior.
I'm going to redirect once again the discussion into, you mentioned a few times digitalization and about healthcare. How do you see the future, also in worldwide, but also in Bulgaria, of healthcare, and where the role of the leadership comes into connection with this future?
Very good. Great. I think for Bulgaria, we are lucky that we are part of Europe. To your point, for example, about digitalizing the healthcare, we have the European Health Data Space, a regulation on the European level that give a certain framework, a certain direction and expectation to the infrastructure, to the governance, to the outcome of the system if it's digitalized. And locally here in Bulgaria, we have seen good steps in the past period. I've seen it really driven by some passionate people, passionate leaders. You mentioned Mira, for example, at the beginning of the discussion, and the other great leaders in different parts of the ecosystem in Bulgaria. And they really believed in this cause, in how much value digitalization of the healthcare system will bring to the patients and will bring to the system at all. Because imagine if, God forbid, you are in Bansko skiing and you broken your leg, you can go to a hospital there and all your data is in one place connected across all the system in Bulgaria. If this is across Europe, even if you are skiing in Austria, you have all your data in a second. You record as a patient. That will save time, save resources, save lives, no repetition, etc. And this is a very small example. On a system level, it can create efficiency and so on. Again, we took very good steps, and recently the digitalization or the strategy of the digitalizing the healthcare system is a major milestone. But still, it's a journey, like speaking about leadership.
Exactly, I was about to say that's a nice dream, but how close we are to that.
I think it's a journey. At least you need to feel back to self-awareness, speaking about individual, to have, self-awareness, because in 21, for example, we, along with other collaborator, created kind of assessment of the healthcare system in Bulgaria and what need to happen to be a digitalized healthcare system. And we looked into infrastructure, governance, funding, multiple aspects. And strategy was very important masterpiece. And that's why you will find me very passionate and happy that at least in this year, Q1, the strategy, the dream of strategy is now a reality. Definitely you need to continue to have those baby steps in order to see within years this system is really digitalized. Finally, to link it back to leadership, again, there's part about the vision. You need to have vision for the future. If we speak about digitalizing the healthcare system, again, in Europe, there are great countries in the north. If you look into Denmark, Finland, other countries, they have great digitalization of the healthcare system, and we can learn from them. And definitely some of the other like bigger countries like France and others, they have good examples. But you need to set this ambition and vision. You need to have a clear strategy, and the leadership can help really to encourage the idea of collaboration, because something like digitalization of the healthcare system, this is a big dream. And no one entity can do it alone. It's not the Ministry of Health or Ministry of Growth of Innovation or Ministry of Finance or even Digital Health Cluster, Mira and the team, not us. It's really collaboration and partnership and a lot of support from the startups, from the regulators, from the payers, from many people need to work together, and this is leadership. And finally, keep the motivation and keep the optimistic mindset. My personal belief that this is very, very important. As we were speaking about the growth mindset, good to keep the optimistic mindset, because many things we see in the world, not only in Bulgaria, can make us easily very pessimistic about the future. But how you use this power of positive thinking and optimism to keep going.
Very good.
I think that's very nice wrap-up of the whole discussion today.
Yeah, this conversation contained a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting practical things leaders can actually take from you and to learn from you and maybe apply in their management work lives. And we encourage you to comment if you have some questions, maybe for Hesham. We are going to make sure he is going to answer. Of course, if that's okay with you.
Sure, definitely, I'm very happy to
We are very, very happy to have you and that you were our guest today. And we have a very, let's say, small token of appreciation for us, for you. I mean, being our guest, this is a small gift.
Thank you so much.
To have it.
So much. Thank you
And
so much.
We thank you for being our guest and, of course, sharing all the knowledge you shared.
Thank you so much for the opportunity and the time. I really enjoyed our discussion and the exchange of thoughts, and it was very stimulating. Thank you so much for that.
Cool. Thank you. If you want to meet Mr. Sabry live, personally, you can do that on the conference Business Agility Bulgaria 2024 on 26th of September. This is going to be in the University of National World Economics, UNSSA in Bulgarian, and he is going to present even more experience and lessons learned from his career. Thank you, Hesham Sabry.
Thank you. I look forward. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.